Pricing is not the most critical point. She repositioned the offer, charged higher fee, and she got booked. A lot of people don't want to admit it, but this is the number one driver in a business. You can outpace the competitors very easily with just knowing what to do. Today, we're going to do something fun. We're going to discuss why your childcare business is struggling and how you can fix it fast. So I get messages from childcare owners saying, I'm burned out. I'm not able to do this anymore. This is not working. I'm tired. I'm tapping out. I've tried it all, but the parents are leaving. The competition is too hard and I can't charge more. So I'm kind of stuck in this vicious loop. And I know exactly how you feel. And in today's session, we're going to see how you can fix that. First of all, identify the problems and know exactly what to fix. When I get these comments, what they're actually saying is that they're not in control of their business. So how do I know this? We started a childcare business from home with 6 kids, and then we grew it to $1 million operation. It is profitable. It is still in business. And I know what the business owners are typically struggling with because I'm living this day in and day out. And we did all this with no college degree. We didn't take a franchise, so we built it entirely from scratch. And we're now in our location, we're surrounded by competition. Within 5 miles, I probably have about 20 different childcares. So that's just to show you that even if you have many businesses like yours around you, there's still a way you can get enough to yourself, and I'll show you how to do that. So how did we do it? Well, it helped that in my main work, I actually work for a technology company in marketing, and I've worked with 200 plus different businesses from small, $1 million plus to $100 million and $1 billion corporations. And then I implemented some of those things in my daycare. But unfortunately, it took us years to figure this out. And so now I know if I had to redo it again, I could do this probably within a year if I had to start from scratch or grow a new center. But if you are running an operation right now, I'll give you the key areas of focus that we focused on, and you can see how you can actually solve your problems. So let's demystify how you can grow faster. And what I want to show you is there is a childcare study that just came out. And we're not going to dive deep into the numbers, but there are a few things that are standing out, which I think are critical for you. Overall trend, the business is growing, as you can tell. So you shouldn't be afraid of AI. AI is not going to take those jobs. AI can help you do your job better, but human service business, and especially children education, it's not going to be outsourced at least for the next 20 years. So this gives you confidence that, hey, the childcare business in general, regardless of what's happening on the market, is steadily growing. Why? Because there's more and more people in the world. And as we can see here, more women entering workforce, right? So if you can track this trend, more and more women are going to work, and as a result, they can afford childcare, drop the child, and then go to work. And what stood out to me specifically, it's very interesting. So if you look at this chart here, what it actually tells you is, so 37% cite cost as main obstacle, meaning 63% don't see cost as a main problem. And bottom line is 87% prioritize reliability. So if you're thinking, I cannot raise prices, my customers will not pay more, they will. Case in point, we are charging around $1,500 a month in our area, and we have businesses that are charging $2,000 a month, and they're booked solid. I've worked with businesses that are charging $2,500 plus in the childcare space, and more specialty education, but still, and they're very busy. So it comes down to a few key areas, and we're going to talk about them right now. So, but just as a takeaway, what I want you to remember is 63% do not see cost as the main obstacle. 13% don't prioritize reliability, meaning majority does. And 55% consider cost important, meaning 45% do not consider cost important. So when you're selling and you're feeling that you're worried about pricing, when your customer is complaining about pricing, all it means is that they don't feel that they got enough value. Because as an example, let's say you go buy a pair of shoes and it says $300 on them. How do you know if it's a good deal or not? You don't. But if it says $500 crossed out, and now it says 300. Now it's a deal, right? Now you're getting 40% discount. Similar situation is happening with customers and businesses. When you're getting something and your perception is that you're getting way more than what you're paying for it, you're not going to complain. You're happy because you're winning. And that's the reality with the childcare business. So they're paying $1,000, $2,000, whatever the number you charge, so they can go to work and make $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month. So just by the numbers alone, this is a great equation. With their child not being in the childcare, they can go to work, maybe working remotely. But I have 2 kids and I'm struggling with this working remotely. So I appreciate childcare. I even have a sticker here. Thanks to childcare, I'm at work. Pricing is not the most critical point. So how can you right now stand out in your local competition and get enough business and make sure that all the processes are working and that you can relax, you can get your time back, and you can finally start seeing profit? So over the years, we've figured out that there's actually only 5 areas of focus that you need to pay attention to. And we're going to look at them now. So number 1 is obviously you, because if you don't do the change, if you don't know what needs to happen, none of this matters. Even if you have this figured out and you're not figured out by yourself, if you're not doing the right things, if you're not working on the business, as we're going to cover here, you are the critical point. So let's look one by one. In your business, there's only 5 main areas of focus. It's you, your product, your people, your marketing, and your systems. And if you see here, your product is actually feeding into marketing, because if you have a good product, if you understand what I'm going to discuss now, then your customers will want to buy it. It will attract the parents to them and they will not complain. They will be eager to sign up. So good product drives marketing, meaning with a good product, it's easy to sell it. And with people, right people drive systems. You need to work on the business more than you're working in the business. You run around and you have the things on your list that you got to do today, and you forget, it's the end of the day and you're like, I needed to do some marketing. I needed to do something important. And you just delay the important things, which are helping the business grow. You never go above the business and realize, am I actually building something that's working without me? In E-Myth, they're basically the number 1 takeaway is most businesses cannot sell their business because everything is tied up on the owner. From now on, you could go into a new direction where you understand, okay, I'm working maybe still as a manager in the business and I'm doing the daily task, but I need to work on the business and understand how everything fits in. And specifically, it's again, those 5 areas. If you figured out the product, if you figured out the people, then they create the marketing and the systems, or even you can create them yourself. And then you get this feedback loop that's, it's a business that's feeding itself. When your money is coming in, you can buy things. You can solve all of these problems with enough enrollment. And that's probably an indication that either you're not doing something right, or your product is not good enough, or your marketing is not figured out. Let's move on. People. It was actually counterintuitive to figure this one out. Naturally, you would think, with people, if they want to work, I got to let them in and hire them. But actually, there's an interesting framework figured out by large corporations that there are 3 types of employees in any business: A players, B players, and C players. And the goal is to attract A players or B players. And definitely, by all means, you need to figure out who the C players are and eliminate them. What do I mean by that? So A players are the doers. So you don't even have to tell them what to do, or if you told them, they come back immediately and they say, okay, I finished that. What's next? What's next? So they're driving themselves, right? Those are action takers, result-oriented. Those are the people you want on your team. Now, B players, maybe not initiating things, but they're doing good execution. So you tell them what to do, they do it, no problems, right? No frictions. And so A players and B players feed on each other because they help each other out. Now, the problem is with the C players. C players, typically, they have all the drama, all the complaints. They concern more, on the minutiae, on the little things that are not critical to the operation. Basically, they just waste all your time, and you have to manage them. Now, when that person is already hired, it's a problem, right? They're not creating chaos in your business, and how do you get rid of them? So it actually it could cost up to 20 times person's salary, the damage that they're creating if they're not hired right. And we figured out there's a script that attracts A players. So when you publish a job, I see a lot of people saying, should I use Indeed? Should I use Facebook? Should I use this? And it really doesn't matter which platform you're using, because the right people, the A players, they respond to a specific ad. They respond to specific positioning of the role. So if you're just saying, hey, if you're a teacher, come work for me, okay, maybe you're going to get some good. But if you're positioning it as you kind of pushing them away a little bit and you make them jump through the hoops, for example, you're saying, hey, rockstar teachers only, or best in class, passionate. What happens is people who don't think they're rock stars, they don't even apply. And those people that apply, they think, oh, of course, I'm a rock star. But the second thing you do is you say, okay, if you are a rock star, please write a brief sentence or a brief paragraph. Why should we hire you? Basically, you're asking them to provide a little sample of their work without paying them yet. And again, what happens is the person who is not interested in providing value, who's not interested in working hard or fighting for this role, they'll just tap out at this time, at this moment. But the right A player, first of all, they see, hey, we're only looking for A players, only for rock stars, only for the best in class that are looking to thrive, to contribute, to grow with our team. And if you think you're one of them, just tell us, why should we hire you? You're going to see probably, 1 out of 10 will actually do it. But that one person out of 10 is going to be somebody who's going to be happily working with you. They're going to stay with you for years. And I'll share a specific script and details in further videos. And if you need any more questions or details, just drop them below. So ABC type of employees, attracting the right superstars with the script. So paying them well. Again, as you saw on the graph here, so money is not the main priority for new customers. So the newer generation, they grew up online, right? They're a little bit different from the 35-year-old plus, I'd say. So anybody below 35, they care more about convenience. If you see on Uber and DoorDash and Uber Eats, right? Everybody's ordering food and it's almost twice more expensive. But in their mind, they don't want to cook. They just want the convenience. They will pay more to get it right now. I've seen this in the camping trip I just went over the 4th of July weekend. And I see families coming in and they're paying somebody to come in and set up the fire, to set up the marshmallows, right? They don't want to do nothing. They're just paying for the convenience of it. And I was kind of blown away, but different times, different priorities for different generations. And going forward for the next 5 years, if you don't pay attention to what these people want, what these parents want, you're going to lose them. Because you probably noticed they don't really communicate with you. I mean, once they enrolled and they signed up, on the daily, they come in and they come out. Say hello, goodbye, right? It almost feels like they don't want to talk, but they do. They just grew up offline. They are not practiced in the, one-to-one personal communication. So it's your job to initiate updates. So I'm sure you have a CRM that you're sending updates to parents, but even more than that, on the personal level, drop a note. Hey, how's it going? Just a little more attention to them, and you will see this going a long way. But to bring the point back to pricing, you can charge higher, and I'll show how this works with the product and the marketing. But if pricing is your challenge, you're not thinking about this right. If you're thinking, oh, I'm going to charge less because my competition charges there, and then they charge less and you charge less. So it's just a losing game because both of you running to the end. And if you don't have any profit, you can pay your teachers and everybody starts leaving and that's it. There's no business. So it's much easier to go up market, to charge higher. As an example, I worked with one school that were focusing on music education for people who are going into college, students. And they were struggling a little bit, but we found a niche and positioning basically when we asked the parents, what specifically is the outcome? Why are you teaching your child cello or piano? And the parents said, hey, we want them to get into Ivy League school. And the teacher was like, aha. So she repositioned the offer saying, if you want to get into a Ivy League school, your chances are going to be higher if you play these instruments or if you do fencing or so whatever the list was. And she charged higher fee and she got booked. So there's always a way to represent and repackage. And even if you were in business for 20 years, new products and demands and niches always emerge. And so new parents are looking for new things. And if you're not giving it to them, they're going to go to your competition. And as you figured out, the right people build the right systems, making your work easier. Now, what are systems? Yeah, I've already discussed the e-myth takeaway that when businesses are just doing the work, they're not building a machine that you can step away from, that's not a business. So if you take a vacation now for 30 days and you come back and there's nothing there, right, everything collapsed, that wasn't a business. But if you can leave for a few weeks, that means you had systems, structures, that everything figured out, and that's That's a sustainable machine that you can sell. And with systems, you don't even have to be technical. With AI today, it's just amazingly simple how these things could be automated. So either some mundane tasks, like if somebody's booking a tour, are they calling you, or are they emailing you? That's unnecessary touch points that many younger people, they don't want to go through. They just want to click a button, sign up, pay, that's it, done, right? They just want the ease of experience. Let them book it by themselves. So have a calendar on your website. Let them pick a spot. Once they pick the spot, what typically happens is now, let's say the tour is 2 weeks from now. So there's 2-week period that they don't hear from you, maybe even if they even forgot that the tour is booked. As soon as they book a tour, there's an automated package that's sent to them with like a teaser package, so to get them excited for the tour. When they come to the tour, they type in their name, their email. Hey, how old is your child? Is it their first experience in the daycare? What's your name? And as soon as they go through the tour, that presentation is now personally tailored to them. They're saying, hey, so it looks like Taylor is going to be in the 3rd grade, and in the 3rd grade, Taylor will learn 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So as they go through the tour, you're already giving them personal experience, and they future pacing themselves. They seeing how, oh, my child is going to be graduating, right? They're already imagining their child there. And at the end of the tour, that package, again, automatically mailed to the email to them. And then there's reminders after that. So, hey, thanks for the tour. If you had any questions, like retargeting. And so what happens, instead of 1 or 2 touch points where they just called, waited for a few weeks, came to a tour, you gave them the pitch, they left, and maybe you tried calling them a few times. They don't pick up the phone. I mean, some do, but it's just, the phone is no longer used as a communication device, as a phone call device. Automation, things that can reduce your workload. If you go every day to a dashboard, maybe to collect your payments, or you need some kind of a report that you manually gather, and even if it takes you 20 minutes manually, you're like, no big deal. But I do it every week. Just do the math. If you automate that, if you just come to your email and there's a weekly report that you need, does it just happen automatically? It just saves time. So you save 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and all of a sudden it's 5 hours less per week, and it's 20 hours less per month. And now you're not burned out, and now you have time to go to vacation. Product. So what is a product? If you sell something, it's a product. So your customers are buying from you an experience, an outcome. It's important to realize that even though, it was hard for me as a business owner saying, no, I built this, I care, this is my thing, this is my business, so let me tell you all about it. Nobody cares. They have a problem and they want an outcome. So they have a child and they want that child educated, safely, securely, nurtured, loved, cared. The daycare is in between. Actually, it's an obstacle. They don't want it, but they want the outcome, right? And so if you talk about the daycare, for the first thing, we're so many years in business. We have such a great center. I mean, we have 20 teachers. I've spent 20 years on this. You put them to sleep, right? They don't care. But if you say, hey, if your child is going to continue, get their education here, look at some testimonials of other parents, right? Look at our children getting into these and these schools, for example. You just talk about them and their experience. And for tour, I mean, we can discuss on a framework, but the best framework we've found is the SPIN selling one, SPIN, situation, problem, implications, and need payoff. So when the parents come in, hey, so what's the situation? Oh, I'm a nurse getting back to work and I just gave birth. Great. So what's the problem? Well, got to get back to work right away, right? I mean, it's a high-paying job and I can't afford to skip another 2 days. Great. So she needs immediate. So that's a situation and a problem. Immediate placement in a good daycare. Okay, what else is important to you? Maybe nutrition. Maybe I just want to get a daily update. So you ask them about them and their needs and their problems. And once they told you that on the tour, you just say, okay, so if I understand this correctly, so you're a nurse, you just maybe moved into town, got to get back to work right away. It looks like we have one place in this group, and we probably have 5 tours today. So if you want to secure it, leave a deposit. That works way better than you just go into your pitch and you just talk about the stuff that you want to talk about. So with product, like I said, there's always a way to stand out, to create a unique value proposition, something. So let's say some daycares I see now positioning themselves as STEM, some of them more arts, some of them international, some of them maybe sports oriented, some of them special care oriented. So there are different tiers. So as an example, let's say you go to a doctor. So a general doctor maybe charges X, let's call it $200 an hour. If you go to now a dentist, that's a specialty doctor. Now, dentist charges, let's say, $300 to $400 an hour. Okay. Now, if you go to pediatric doctor, dentist, right? More specialties, kind of more niching down. And the prices again go up. So pediatric doctor probably 600-700, whatever the charge is. And then if you go like surgeon, pediatric, dental doctor, right? So the more niche, the more expensive. And the more generic, the cheaper. So if you're just a daycare, okay, you're just a daycare. But if you're a STEM specialty daycare and you have limited spots, now we're talking, right? That's a unique offer. And regardless, again, if you're starting from scratch, you can always look at the competition. What are they offering? Or you can start with your existing parents. You can. There's 3 questions you can ask them. What made you come to the daycare? What were the results of your stay? And what were the takeaways? What were the benefits? And was there anything missing? And those magic questions give you everything you need, because they give you, why did you sign up? So what was the trigger? So it's going to be unique to everybody, but you'll start seeing patterns. Okay, so what pushes them into action? Let's say it's work related, or it's education, right? My kid is falling behind academically, or whatever the trigger is. So trigger, what was the outcome? Well, once we enrolled, he quickly caught up and he learned this and this and this. So now you see the outcome. Okay, children are learning this, and they also nurtured and cared, and they love the teachers and the food. Whatever the parents say, just record the language. And then what was missing? And that's an opening for you to innovate and to bring something new as a product or repackaging or an offer. And they could say, well, I hope you had better food, or I hope it was cleaner, or I hope it was, it had longer hours, or early pickup or drop off. Anything they tell you, you talk to 5 or 10 or 20 of them, you summarize and you say, okay, great. So they actually come in because they all work locally, right? They just need the local daycare. Second, they all want, let's say, STEM, or they want sports-oriented performance, some locomotion adjustments. And let's say they wished for early opening and food options included, right? Now you can position your daycare as, early bird specialty STEM education, right? So again, we'll discuss this more in further videos, but you need the unique value proposition. You can survey your parents and they'll tell you specifically what's already working, what's not working, and just based on that, you're going to make a much better offer going forward. And design basics, I see a lot of childcare is just kind of throwing, some stars and birds and things, and they call it design, and it looks amateur, like it looks not sophisticated enough to have to trust the brand. Why? In today's market, I'm sure you notice, we all bombarded with ads and videos, and everything is produced with such high quality, right? We're just spoiled with great design. And if I'm a parent and I'm spending $20,000 a year on education of my child, and I see a childcare that looks a little kind of wonky, and maybe like a 5-year-old did the design, it's not justifying the $20K. This is probably going to be the most expensive thing a person pays other than the house, right? They sign up for a few years. That's $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in payments. So that's a huge purchase. And if you think design doesn't matter, design matters. Ask Apple if design doesn't matter. So design, quickly and simply, with fonts, like if you see here, only a few colors, right? Very simple. Left align the text, 2 or 3 sizes of the font. That's it. Do not bring more colors and stars and bursts. And there's a separate video I did on design, and we'll probably need to do an update now. But you should look into design, and design matters. It starts from your sign, from your name, and then the packages you give them, and the logo, and how you follow up in the email. And it's not supposed to be overwhelming, right? You can simply just sit down, and within a few days, you can outline the whole thing, and you can have ChatGPT design it for you, which again, we'll cover in future sessions. Let's move on. Marketing. A lot of people don't want to admit it, but this is the number one driver in a business, because if you have more sales, you can usually buy more things. You can buy teachers, you can buy consulting, you can get a bigger space, you can get better food, right? So without sales, nothing will work. And since that's the key driver, you need to make sure that you have customers on demand, or that, I don't know what capacity you're running in, but not everybody wants to run at 100% capacity. But if you're running at 50%, it's probably a problem, right? You're paying the same rent, the same insurance, all your expenses are still high, but you're utilizing the business only at half of its capacity. It just doesn't make any sense. So You got to push it up. It's like a machine that you're just filling halfway, but paying for the full price of usage. Why do that? So again, once you have enough customers, you can scale, you can get more teachers, you can get a bigger place. But until you figure out how to get them in the door, you're going to struggle. And again, with the web today, it's easier than ever. I mean, 15 years ago when we were starting out, it was way harder. It was all new. You just need to have a basic website that talks about the benefits of signing up to you. Basic website doesn't have to be expensive. A few $1,000s should get the job done. Google Business Profile. This is critical for a local business. Google sends leads to relevant websites. But the problem is most business profiles on Google are either neglected or they're not done correctly. And we figured out a way what needs to be on the profile. There are specific things you have to do. And then Google sees it as a huge trigger. And so we're ranking #1 in our local map pack. Even that I'm surrounded by Goddard, by the Rainbow, and all the fancy franchises that have full marketing teams running on those ads. And we're competing with the huge brands. How? Because there are a few things that we've done that just positioned us as the expert in the area. And we'll take the competition a few years to figure that out. But website, Google Business Profile, some automations that were already discussed. And you can start with Facebook ads, a few basic ads. You don't have to. So what I hear a lot of people are saying is, I tried it, it doesn't work. I tried it, it doesn't work. Of course, because you probably tried one ad. It probably talked about you. And you probably didn't target it correctly, and you maybe ran it for a few weeks without paying attention, and it burned $1,000 of your budget, provided no customers, okay, Facebook marketing is dead. But it's actually very simple. You can start with a small budget. You can have just one ad, calling all 5-year-olds looking for STEM education in your area, right? And the outcome, like a testimonial from a happy parent. Book a tour today, click a button to your calendar, and start with $15 a day, run that ad, targeting to your local area, to specific customer demographics. So who are your parents' ages? And you'll be amazed how Facebook knows who's interested, who's in the market, who's likely to click it. So within the 3 days test, they're gonna show that ad to the relevant people. And then you see, okay, I spent $45. What happened? Did I get any clicks? Did I get any book a tour? And it's just all about the number game. Marketing essential. You have to make sure that you're getting customers on demand, that you're running on either 70, 80, 90% capacity. And especially if you're planning to scale into another location, buy another one, or start another one, you need to turn on customers right away. And there are ways to do that. And again, you can outpace the competitors very easily with just knowing what to do, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. So to summarize, you saw the 5 areas. So if you're struggling, which one of those areas would you say is the biggest problem for you? And I invite you to fill out this simple exercise. So you can either draw this on your, with a pen and paper, circle with 5 areas. So it's your product, right? Your people, marketing, systems, and you, right? And now let's say this is 10, this is 1. So what you're doing, you're rating yourself from 1 to 10 on each of those categories. So you say, how aware are you of what needs to happen in the business, and do you need to know what to do to scale? And let's say you rank yourself, let's call it 5, right? You just color that. And now in product, let's say, I don't know how good you are, but again, let's say you're there at 4, and people, maybe you're better, you're at 7, and marketing, I don't know, maybe you're at 9. And systems, you're probably maybe at a 4 or a 5, right? That's the power of this exercise. It's imbalanced. Ideally, you want to have this whole thing figured out. And that's when you see a business just going smoothly, that you have the right people, money is coming in, people who are working are happy, parents are happy. Thank you for watching. Drop any comments below, and stay tuned for the next one.